Rock Rhodes here, and the name of this video is Luke Cage Season 2 Review. Now, there's about 8 or 9 major themes that run through this Season 2, or maybe 8 or 9 major events that permeate everything in the season. And I'm just going to go through those 8 or 9 points in no particular order, really. But I think we should start with the breakup between Luke and Claire, because they were in their honeymoon phase, and everything's romantic and everything's great, and of course the woman, being Claire, has to start an argument. And she's going in on Luke about his anger issues and how he should talk to his dad, and deal with his daddy issues. And she basically does everything to get an angry reaction out of Luke. And then when he gives her that angry reaction by punching a hole in the wall, she's like, oh, okay, I gotta go, I can't mess with you. And it's really kind of foul, when you think about it. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, he has superpowers, and well, that's scary. A guy punching a hole in the wall. Yes, we understand that. At the same time, you basically kept rattling the cage and kept goading this guy until he did that. So you're equally to blame. You can't just take the attitude that, you're crazy, I can't mess with you, which is basically what she did. Luke kind of, he kind of begs her not to leave, and she leaves anyway. So we get Luke being single. He's single, after the first couple of episodes. He's single this season. He does kind of, I don't know if he's pushing up on Misty, but he kind of goes to Misty like, hey, can I stay with you? And Misty's like, no, you can't stay with me either. So Luke ends up staying at the barbershop, which is kind of funny. But, his breakup with Claire kind of sets the tone for the season, because he has to deal with protecting people. And the people he loves are really his only vulnerability. I mean, he has mental vulnerabilities and emotional vulnerability. He because he's a human being, but the people he loves are his only real weakness, because he can't be hurt. He can't really be killed by any regular means anyway that we know of. So that kind of sets the tone for the season. And Luke eventually does have to deal with his father. He does have to deal with his father issues, and it's hard for Luke because his father, who raised him, when Luke gets framed for the crime he doesn't commit, his father's automatically believes that he's guilty, which is like crazy. I mean, just imagine, your parent just automatically assuming you're guilty of something when you don't even have a history of that. The guy was a cop. The guy was a cop. He's raised by a preacher, and he gets accused of something. He gets set up, and his father automatically believes he's in the wrong, and then blames him for his mother's death. So this is like something that's just like a ultimate betrayal, and Luke is rightfully angry at his father and doesn't want to talk to his father or deal with him, and it's totally understandable. But his father does make amends to Luke, and they eventually start to communicate, and they eventually build that bond that they had again. Because Luke finally decides to forgive his father for all the wrong that he did, which is it's a big thing. Luke's a big man that's showing that he's taking the higher ground by forgiving this man of all of that. Another thing that happened, Misty gets her new arm, And you know, it's they really go in. They really go in with the arm jokes on Misty. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's like a running joke, man. They going in on Misty with this arm. You know, I mean, Cats is cracking jokes on her like, oh well, if it isn't the short arm of the law, and oh, do you need a hand? And you know, I mean, the guy Cockroach is like, yeah, hey ma, me and you will always get a parking spot, because they're handicapped. And it's like, wow. I mean, it's like it's kind of funny, but it's like, yo, they really making light of this thing. But Misty gets a bionic arm, and she doesn't end up, leaving the force and being a detective. But I just thought that was like a thing that stood out to me, all the arm jokes in this season. Uh, then you had Bushmaster, who was really, really a standout villain. I mean, the guy did an excellent job. Um, Bushmaster's like one of the best villains ever. I mean, it's like it's like they took the pathos of Cottonmouth and Diamondback, and they combined them into one character, but it's still a totally original character. I mean, this guy's a great actor. He's a great martial artist, and he really is a perfect foil for Luke Cage, because Luke is a more stoic hero. Um, he's not as expressive, and he's not supposed to be, because he's a stoic hero. You're not gonna see Luke emote, all the time. You're not gonna see him do that. Whereas Bushmaster's like, he's always emoting something, you know. And it's a great contrast, and that's another great thing about season two, the multiculturalism that is on display in the black community. They show the Jamaican side, they show the Black American side, and they show the human side, that the people in these communities aren't really supportive of these criminals. They don't co-sign these criminals. They don't idolize them. They're showing that these people really have morals and values, and they don't agree with all this stuff. They don't like what Mariah's doing. They don't like what Bushmaster's doing, even though Bushmaster's presented as a honorable, more honorable type of villain. But his family doesn't really approve of what he's doing. And the funny thing is that the rivalry and the beef between the Stokes and the MacGyver family, I think that's based on a real life rivalry between Nicky Barnes and a Haitian family back in the days. It was like the same thing. Like, he betrayed this family and kind of wiped them out when they were working together. And I think, maybe the writers got wind of that, and they decided to put that in the show. They changed the names, changed the nationalities, but I think that a lot of that beef is based on a real life thing that happened. Excuse me. And like I said, Bushmaster's like the perfect foil for Luke. One of the best villains ever. You got fight scenes in this season that are better than some of the stuff you see in the movies, man. None of that choppy, shaky camera garbage. None of that, sped up, Born Identity garbage. It's like, they're filming this stuff full frame, looking like it's natural. Some of it looking like it's in real time. These guys really, really did their thing with this season. You had Black Mariah and Shades going through their love thing, which I think was a little much. I mean, we could have done without some of those scenes, and we could have done without some of that. That was kind of my only thing. Like, wow, this is kind of this is a little much. Do we really need all this? Shades and Comanche ended up having like a jail rock love thing, a jailhouse rock. What did they call that? What did Elvis say? Jailhouse Rock. I think that's the name of that song. They had some of that going on in there, which, I mean, really isn't surprising, is it? Even though I don't think that was in the original comic. In the original comic, Shades was a black guy, and he had powers kind of like Cyclops, and I think Comanche had like some super strength or something like that. But they changed the characters up to make them a little more mundane to fit the show, which is fine. It worked out. Luke's relationship was with Mariah was kind of wild because Mariah said the only man she could depend on was Luke, and he was her greatest enemy. And they kind of had like an evil mother son thing going on there. Maybe like a Hercules Hera thing going on there. And but his motivations, Luke protected Mariah a lot in the season, but the show was so well written that his motivations were clear and logical. It wasn't like that Batman stuff where he's running to save the Joker. He's running. He's carrying the Joker in his arms, running to the hospital like, oh, please save the Joker. And the Joker's shooting a machine gun into traffic, and he's swerving his bike not to hit him. Not stupid stuff like that. Not illogical dumb stuff. He was protecting Mariah for like logical reasons. You knew his motivations, like, well, it's not, some stupid rule that's getting people killed. It's well, you got to watch the show, but like I said, the motivations are clear and logical. It's not some dumb stuff like you see in some other movies where, the hero's protecting the villain and going all out of his way. It wasn't like that. Another thing about that was good about the show is near the end, you see Luke become the king. Well, actually, at the end, you see Luke become the king of Harlem, and Claire comes back, of course. She comes back, of course, and they say like, well, Luke, what do you want us to tell Claire? He's like, tell her to go home. Tell her to go home. And Misty, she comes through, and she gets the door closed on her, and it's like, look, you didn't want to be part of the inner circle, you didn't want to support this man, when he was going through stuff. So why should you feel like you should be part of his inner circle now that he's the king of Harlem? You know what I mean? You should have stuck with it. You should have been true, and maybe you would have been there in that inner circle. But no, he told Claire to go home, and he kind of motioned Misty to break out. You know what I mean? And I really like that because it's showing that Luke didn't. I mean, it's like he tried. You know what I mean? He tried, but you can't keep falling on your sword. You know what I mean? How many times you got to fall on your sword? So Luke was like, I've been there, I've done that, now you gotta be put on the back burner. You gotta take a little back seat. And but I really recommend this show. It's a really good show. They do have, it's Netflix, so some of the pacing is slow, but it's really worth it. You know what I mean? It's really worth it. Bushmaster and the Jamaicans, they like to say I and separation, nightshade, a herb from back home, you know what I mean? That's my Jamaican accent, but that was kind of funny too, but I really recommend the show. It's a good look. There's a lot of positive images. The show is well written. The characters are three-dimensional. The characters are human, and Michael Coulter really did his thing as a stoic hero. Bushmaster really did his thing as the villain. All the acting was excellent, and the writing was excellent, and I recommend it. I really do. And this is Rock Rhodes signing out, and I give Luke Cage season 2 for my review a A+. I don't know if it's better than the first series. I think it's just different. It's different in a lot of ways, but it's on par with the first series. So That's my review, and that's my grade for Luke Cage Season 2. All right. Talk to you later. Don't hurt nobody.